It's our first trip overseas here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue for round number 4 of 16 for the year-long Greg Moore Cup, and also round 3 of 8 for the Mario Andretti Cup, the Road Course and Street Circuit Championship. Welcome, folks, to another live production of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network on iRacing. We are in Zandvoort, North Holland, Netherlands, for our first ever trip to Circuit Zandvoort. A circuit primarily on the Formula One side, but we're visiting here overseas with the Dollar IR 18s, and once again for the first time in series history. So this is bound to be an interesting race here, especially for the IndyCar Series Championship here within the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. On the call here tonight, as per usual, we have from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, been here since last season for the IndyCar Series, been here since Season 3 for the NASCAR Series. Regan McCauley is who you're hearing right now from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. On the other side, he's been here since the very beginning from the other side of the country in Alberta, Canada. It is Jordy Caraher. He is not with us at the moment, so hopefully in just a little bit we'll be able to speak with him about the storylines going into tonight and talk about some of last week's action back at Texas Motor Speedway, which is exactly what we're going to get into here before we talk about our first trip to Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. So, of course, we're going to start off by talking about last week's race at Texas Motor Speedway, the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue 225, our third annual race at Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, Texas. The number 7 of Andy Hurdle at Daytona, Ohio, claiming the victory, and unfortunately a race that did end under caution. And it was very tragic considering how entertaining the race was, just filled with pack racing, a lot of strategy involved within it. There was a whole pack of cars going at the very end, but had a crash on a late restart, and unfortunately, maybe for a couple of fans, we go off of the real-life IndyCar series rules, of course, so the race has to end at the scheduled distance, and Andy Hurdle was able to take advantage of that. There he's right there doing the burnouts, and this is how close the finish was right here at the exact moment of caution, barely beating the number 17 of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island's Corbin McCauley coming off of turn number 2, and man, oh man, the move there from the outside to the inside, nearly right underneath the apron out of the number 17. He certainly had some words afterwards saying how scary that certainly was. Unfortunately, came up short, but still a second-place finish in what was a wild race last week at Texas Motor Speedway. And what I wanted to show here is exactly... it's not exactly working out. There we go. That's much better. Yeah, there we go. Certainly this guy did not win. The number 10 of Jason Butler, most notably up in the air and over on the front stretch, almost Ross Chastain style. Very unfortunate, though. And then you got the good old Ricky Bobby reference of, I'm in the air, boys, is not good. But with all that being said, of course, let's get to the overall championship point standings. Of course, Bradley Sexton, the number 21 out of Fishers, Indiana, still leading the way with Andy Hurdle, 98 points, 143 versus 98. McCauley, 4 points back of Hurdle in third place. Jordan Kalinian in fourth, Darcy Ford and Charlie Sears are both currently tied for the fifth position. So far, Sexton is still with a very, very solid lead here thus far as we move on now to the AJ Foyt Cup, which there was a bit of mistaken words that were mentioned last week. It's the AJ Foyt Cup for the oval races, and it's the Mario Andretti Cup for the road courses and the street circuits. So, we got that fixed up, but here are the Oval Championship standings here after round 1 of 8 at Texas Motor Speedway, with Andy Hurdle leading the way with 51 points over Corbin McCauley at 43 points. Sexton still high up in there with a third-place finish. That's 3 weeks in a row where he finishes inside the top 3, so good job to him right there, of course. And we'll move on now to it's not exactly set up as the Mario Andretti Cup at the moment, but this is technically where the standings would be at right now, because this is where the standings previously was back at Long Beach after we completed Barber. and Long Beach. So after round 2 of 16, the GSGSG Grand Prix of Long Beach, technically Bradley Sexton is leading the road course and street circuit point standings at the moment, 108 points versus 72 over Jordan Kalinian and Charlie Sears. And moving on now to the Nations Cup, where the United States still has a hell of a lead over Canada. Again, we'll continue our little bit of a running joke, of course, where a series that is born and primarily hosted in Canada getting overtaken by the States, but this has kind of been a pattern that's been going on over the past couple of years, so can't really say much. The United States has a hell of a core behind them. You got Andy Hurdle, Bradley Sexton, and William Kern leading the way for the States. Sears, Ty Higginbottom getting in there as well. On Canada's side, Corbin McCauley, Darcy Ford, Hunter Young, a lot of good depth in there, and especially to the number 46 of Stephen Ellis, making his debut in the series. And that, speaking of that too, I might as well get to the race results. I somehow skipped that right there. Hurdle, McCauley, Sexton, top 3 finishers. Darcy Ford, William Kern claiming top 5s right there. So there's a lot of parity between Canada and the States in last week's race on September 24th at Texas Motor Speedway. Justin Belmonte rounding at the top 10. Daniel Cudmore with a 9th place finish. He was the, unfortunately, I guess kind of the culprit when it came to that late caution that ended up giving Andy Hurdle the win at Texas, but still a top 10 finish regardless. And unfortunately for guys like Jonathan Swainson, Mark Goulet, Bryce Fontaine, a couple other names in there like Jared Ireland, Kyle Knoll, especially C.D. Mangrum, a lot of bad luck for a lot of top names at the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue 225. So that's a quick recap of the race results. We now have the Rookie of the Year standings, where, of course, Bradley Sexton still leading the way at 143 points over, with Jordan Kalinian having 91. William Kern moved himself up to the 3rd position, with Bryce Fontaine and Jason Heaney dropping back. Justin Belmonte is in the 6th position. Steven Ellison behind him, and then Trevor Binns. Both Ellis and Binns made their IndyCar Series debuts last week at Texas, and it was a shame for Ellis too. He was a top contender in the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue 225, but unfortunately he and reigning series champion Charlie Sears got together late in the race. It was basically a ticking time bomb. There was like 6, 7, 8 cars going at it in a pack within the closing laps of the race. So very unfortunate, but hopefully he'll be able to claim some redemption. I imagine probably for Ellis, probably next week, as he's primarily focusing on the oval tracks, trying to go for the AJ Foyt Cup, just because of time and such. So hopefully we'll be able to see him back at Pocono Raceway next week, which, speaking of Pocono and schedules and such, here is where we're at right now. Rounds 1, 2, and 3 are completed. It's hard to believe that we have flown so quickly here all the way now to round number 4 for our first overseas trip in the IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. The Fort River 100, round number 4 at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, hosts the 4th round of the season. 38 laps, back to the regular road course / street circuit qualifying format, where it's the best lap within a 15-minute span. Of course, there's not a previous winner because this is our first time here. Although, in the past, we had visited here, but it was in the Formula One All-Star Series, where in 2022, an AI, Max Verstappen, beat the field, because, go figure, it's Max Verstappen. And then Darcy Ford was able to claim a victory the next year in 2023, so maybe he'll be able to try and translate that quote-unquote winning momentum over to the IndyCar Series and onto the iRacing platform. Again, as a reminder, that was over on consoles. That was in on a Formula One game, so clearly a different situation going on here for Ford, but still, hopefully, he'll be able to show some speed and be able to get the job done and move himself up through the points standings. Of course, Pocono Raceway coming up. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is in there as well. Michigan, Road America to wrap up the first half of the 16 race schedule that we have here for the 2024 Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. We still have yet to get Jordy in here, so hopefully he'll be able to join us very soon, especially to help us out with a bit of a hot lap here to get us used to and comfortable with Circuit Zandvoort, get to know what it's like for these drivers going around the 14 corners that this circuit has to offer. Drivers are currently in a practice session that's bound to come to an end here within about 4 minutes or so. And just a couple more quick information here about Circuit Zandvoort. Of course, it's 14 turns, 4.2 kilometers in length, and it's 2.6 miles. It's been home of the Dutch Grand Prix in Formula One since 2021, and it did host it between 1950 and 1985. It went on a 30-something, or some sort of a long hiatus, I think 30-plus years, something like that. And again, the first race in series history hosted back in Formula One. There's a lot of fast sweeping corners, a couple of straightaways. That long straightaway, the front stretch is certainly going to be interesting, especially too into that little sharp first corner. A little bit of banking in that one too, especially the last one. Of course, we'll get into a little bit more of that hopefully here soon. Of course, with the hot lap from Jordy. But we'll be getting into this qualifying session here in just a little bit. Looks like in practice here so far that the double zero of IndyCar Series rookie and reigning NASCAR Series rookie Jordan Kalinian is leading the way by almost half a second. 13 of Jared Ireland, 17 of Corbin McCauley rounding out the top three fastest times thus far. So about a minute away here from this 15-minute qualifying session. Currently 14 cars slated to do battle here for the first annual Forked River 100 victory. Some very interesting weather that we have here so far at Zandvoort. Looking like a little bit foggy there. It's mostly cloudy. Track temperature currently only at 21 degrees Celsius. Air temperature 19. There's a lot of humidity. Just judging off that percentage. So certainly not the absolute best to have about half the field or so that we had back at Texas Motor Speedway. It was basically a full field of, I think it was 23. Yeah, it was 23 cars. I mean, looking back at the race results, yes, indeed, we had a full 23 car field back at Texas. But of course, being one of the more common tracks on the iRacing platform, and it's kind of a situation where pretty much everybody's got it. But Circuit Zandvoort's one of those tracks where it is a little bit difficult when it comes to money and the necessity to purchase it and such, but it's a one of a kind. It's certainly a unique choice that was made for the schedule for this year, and we couldn't be more excited to, of course, be here because a lot of drivers are intrigued to see how the Dollar IR18s are going to react to this kind of a racetrack. There's that high bank corner there in turn number 14 that we're certainly going to be talking about a lot here tonight. Again, just waiting on Jordy. Oh. And it looks as though we do have a Jordy Carraher in here.
He pretty much sprinted into his makeshift studio, yes.
So, how you doing?
I mean, I'm a little all over the place, I'm not going to lie, but hey, I think that's what we're going to expect from tonight's race is a little bit all over the place.
Indeed so. You have anything you want to offer from last week's action at Texas Motor Speedway? Of course, Andy Hurdle getting the victory, unfortunately under caution, but still, though, we had quite one of the best races that we've ever had in series history, and arguably Canadian E-Motorsports network history, with all the pack racing, all the strategies involved, some of the crashes. So,
oh, certainly on the open wheel side, I think it has to be right up there with just about anything.
Indeed, so
yeah, just like pretty much the entire second half, like you said, was just complete and utter chaos, and that made it fantastic for us to watch.
Absolutely, and our first trip overseas in the IndyCar Series here at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, mainly a Formula One track, but we're giving this track a chance with the Dowler IR18. So this is certainly going to be interesting, both from the driver's seat and the commentator booth.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, like, I think I referred to it in the post-race show last week as Barber on steroids. So not to set too high of a projection for it, but you can just see by the sheer nature, like, come on, you're looking at kind of a Bristol-esque banking there. So the fact that it's kind of all over the place and you don't really get much time to breathe outside of the start-finish straight, guys have to be locked in here tonight, and I think that's gonna produce some, well, hopefully it'll produce a little bit more controlled racing, shall we say, because God knows what could happen otherwise.
Indeed so. So currently the drivers, I believe 14, as I said earlier, that are going to be participating here in tonight's first annual Forked River 100. Again, not the exact big number compared to what we had back at Texas Motor Speedway last week, but still a field filled with talent here in this 15-minute qualifying session, just nearing 5 minutes into it. Corbin McCauley now currently with the fastest time so far.
Yeah, fairly close between McCauley and Kalinian. Stop me if you've heard that one before.
Yeah, we got ourselves all too familiar with that back on the NASCAR side. No doubt that's going to continue into the future.
I mean, why would we expect it any other way, except, of course, if we, work the 499 Maestros into the equation here.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, no reason not to think that.
So my safe assumption is that because we're already in the middle of this qualifying session, we're just going to do the live coverage of that, and then we'll get to the hot lap video that we do have ready to go for you after this session. Very quickly get it done, then we'll go racing, of course, for 38 laps and 100 miles, and that was certainly not an ideal corner entry by the 17.
Yeah, I was going to say, given the time I showed up, like, that's pretty much our main / only option for this. But, yeah, I think it's good to, better to focus primarily on the drivers, and then we'll be able to kind of give that in-depth / detailed point of view as everyone else is getting a minute to breathe.
Jared Ireland puts himself to the top of the board in his number 13 IR18. 10 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a little bit of a statement. We know Ireland's been good on the open wheel side of things in the past, so maybe a little bit of intent signaled here from the 13, and honestly, I don't mind it at all.
So that's the number 13 Central Flyaway Racing car at Colby, Kansas, currently in the top spot. 1700 second and third. There's your driver currently leading the point standings for both the Mario Andretti Cup and the Greg Moore Cup. Of course, getting wins back-to-back weeks at Barber, and Long Beach, and then was able to get on the podium once again at the Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue 225 at Texas Motor Speedway. So wasn't able to get a victory 3 weeks in a row, wasn't able to, in a way, translate what he did in the first two races onto the oval for the first time, but still, though, I mean, first, and third, and he's still leading the points by quite a margin for both those two championships, as I mentioned, and there's no doubt he's going to continue what he's got here today at Circuit Zandvoort, but again, too, for the first time here, it'll certainly be interesting to see how things go.
Yeah, I think that's a good word for it. And again, you mentioned the fact that you couldn't quite make it 3 in a row last week, but ultimately, I mean, you saw what was happening on that oval. Like, it literally could have been anyone in that top group that came out with the win. And I mean, it felt like guys were up and down the board all night there. So the fact that Sexton was in that conversation, I'm not necessarily surprised by that. And of course, you know, he's made the early statement with the 2 wins. So don't be surprised if you see him heavily in contention here once again tonight.
There's your winner from last week's race at Texas, the number 7 of Andy Hurdle at Daytona, Ohio for 519E Racing. Currently 3/10 back of the top spot in time by the 13 of Jared Ireland. Charlie Sears, the number 32, reigning series champion. Currently in 6th, looking to claim some redemption after a late race accident last week.
And I mean, even looking at the timing charts right now, top 9 separated by less than a second. Like, you're not seeing guys pull away like we did at perhaps Barber and Long Beach, and especially not the way we did last season under the contractually obligated name of Dart. Yeah, so very encouraging to see these early returns here. And yeah, despite being a track that might be known as a difficult one to overtake on, you're seeing competitive times here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit better of a race than, you know, maybe some would look at just kind of based on, you know, where we are and sort of track configurations.
So just about 6 minutes remaining here in this qualifying session. We did see there that the 00 Jordan Kalinian jumped to the top of the board with a best 118.424. Bryce Fontaine just jumped to 5th.
Yeah, and again, now it's, still that top 9 separated by less than a second. But, I mean, you're seeing some names like, I'm looking at Bryce Fontaine, especially guys that may not have necessarily thought would be in that conversation right away, but it seems like the track is just kind of working for him here, and that's as big a challenge as anything else when you have an unfamiliar track with an unfamiliar car to the track. As speaking of,
yeah, something kind of happened.
Yeah, just kind of a wheel randomly flying across here. And yeah, just cuts it. Oh!
Ow.
Cuts it way too far inside. That looks like it's out of turn 8 or perhaps 9. We'll officially figure that one out once we do our hot lap here in a little bit.
Yeah, saying each specific corner is going to be fun.
Yeah, be aware ahead of time that we did not get our Dutch lessons on Duolingo done in time, so we might be a little bit off. But, yeah, we'll certainly do our best to not completely butcher it.
Under 5 minutes to go now. Bradley Sexton, no surprise, he jumped up to the top of the board about a minute ago or so. 118.268.
Yeah,
he just got a 439.
Yeah, solid 10th and a half clear of Jordan Kalinian there with that particular time. And yeah, 18-2, I think you're probably satisfied with that right now. I think that the kids would call that putting up a marker.
New leader and into the wall.
Okay, so we're just kind of trading places here. Right after I said, 18-2 probably feels pretty good, Kalinian goes and beats it.
Three and a half minutes to go. The 0-0 up to the top of the board. Just about a tenth or so over the 21. So currently a top two of IndyCar Series first-year drivers at the moment. Second year, Jared Ireland in third. Macaulay Fountain rounding out the top five at the moment.
Yeah, and definitely lots of separation between Kalinian and Sexton and Ireland there in third. 0.3 between second and third alone. But again, you go a little bit further down the field, like not a ton of separation, even going down as far as Darcy Ford in 11th. Like third through 11th, that's way less than a second of separation between that group of drivers. So again, I'm cautiously optimistic in terms of holding out hope for a good one here tonight.
Still a couple of drivers that have been consistently stuck towards the bottom of the charts so far. Will Kern, I think, has yet to get higher than 8th. Nola's 9th. C.D. Mangrum currently in 10th in his number 1 Nordic Aluminum Tornado Alley E-Racing car of Atlanta, Georgia. Darcy Ford in 11th. Again, number 64. He's oh boy. Ow.
What were you saying?
I was going to say he is technically the last winner here back in the Formula One All-Star Series.
Again, very different car, very different feel to it. Perhaps maybe a couple seconds off the F1 cars. I think their times were in like the low 110s, I believe, when they raced this summer.
Under a minute and a half to go now for the 14 drivers that are going to do battle here for the first annual Forked River 100 victory at Circuit Zandvoort. It's still all Jordan and Kalinian here up top. Looking at for that first pole of the season.
Yeah, almost trying to protect his time as much as anything else. And let's see if he improves upon it. Does not appear he did. Which reminds me, I should probably get my timing screen up.
So Sexton won the pole and the race at Barber and Long Beach, and then William Kern got the pole back at Texas, was able to pull off a top 5 finish. So Kalinian looking to be the next different driver to earn a pole here with now 15 seconds remaining in this qualifying session at Circuit Zandvoort. And Jordy, I cannot help but to note that it's foggy.
I was gonna say, I wasn't sure if that was my screen or what was going on there as we see the checkered flag come out officially. Yes. Now, does that, since we see fog, IndyCar doesn't really worry about weather variance in iRacing, does it?
Maybe.
Well, that will be an interesting discovery if that winds up becoming a thing. But again, we don't know that right now, and you wouldn't know it by that forecast. Although 99% humidity, there's something to be said about that.
Yes, whenever I saw that, I'm like, huh.
And it's a little breezy there too, because for those unaware, in real life, the circuit is just off of the sea. Like, it's pretty much a
Yes.
seaside track. So that very much adds a different variable to things as well. And perhaps why we saw a little bit of sand or gravel or whatever kicked up in the chicane a couple of times.
So yeah, our fingers are crossed that nobody makes hellacious wheel-to-wheel contact and goes flying over the grandstands.
Well, I mean, equal parts hellacious and hilarious because they're virtual spectators, of course.
Yes, indeed, nobody is actually harmed in any of these races. Maybe
No,
maybe mentally.
I was going to say just the ego a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, that too. Anyways, that was qualifying. Jordy, are you ready for a hot lap?
Yeah, let me pull up the actual map, and yes, let's roll it. All right, so 2.65 miles, give or take, here at Circuit Zandvoort here tonight. This has been historically Max Verstappen's playground on the Formula One side, but we are in the Dallara IR18 as we begin this hot lap, and it's relatively short charge down to the opening corner known as Tarzan. Technically Tarzan Bocht, but in Dutch, Bocht is corner as we come through Gerlach now. And now we come into really high banking here in the Hugenholz corner. I believe 31 degrees is the registered angle of that bank. That rivals Bristol, folks, as we come through this middle section. This is Slotmaker here and into Scheiblack, which is another just high-speed corner, just pretty much a roller coaster here at Zandvoort. Taking it third gear, slowing down all the way down to first to try and navigate this particular turn, which is turn 10 coming up here. And now you get a little mini straightaway. And we'll see where our hot lap's able to get us to. Do we touch fifth gear? Yeah, we do, but not for long as we're into the Hans Ernst chicane here. And again, it's a very short run now to the final couple corners, both of which feature significant banking. That's the Kumho corner. Now we're into the heavily banked Ari Leyendijk curve. 19 degrees of banking there, named for a former Dutch IndyCar driver. And that is a lap of Circuit Zandvoort. And yep, just like that, that's what we're looking at here tonight, folks.
Indeed it is, as the cars and stars of the 2024 Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue, are going to line up here on the grid on the front straightaway behind the iRacing safety car. And in just a little bit, we'll be going racing here for 38 laps and 100 miles at the Circuit Zandvoort for our first ever race here and our first trip overseas within the IndyCar Series. What would you say you expect out of this race? Or is it kind of one of those races where you'd say like 99.9% of you is like it's mystery?
I mean, there's certainly an element of that. There's certainly been, what's the nice way to put it? Varying levels of feedback in regards to our layout here this evening. And the fact that it's a smaller field, that might let guys breathe a little bit more. If it was, your 23 car oval like last week, that would feel a little bit crazier, I would have to think. But there might be some room for guys to actually get out on their own, get more comfortable with this particular circuit, because, again, you saw all the twists and turns this place takes. Comfort is going to be number one here. Like, yeah, you want to go fast, but you got to stay on the track. So ultimately getting that figured out will be, of significant importance to the drivers. And other than that, like, as I say, once guys get a little bit more comfortable with the overall layout, I think you can expect things to kind of calm down maybe from where they were in practice.
Absolutely. And with all that being said, I'm going to go into iRacing race control here, give these guys a quick message, say the most famous words in motorsports, and then we'll go racing. Once again, for 38 laps and 100 miles at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands, our first ever time here in the IndyCar Series. Stay tuned. Eventually waiting for the cars to move there, but finally they do. So it's time to introduce each and every one of the cars and stars who will do battle here tonight for the first annual Forked River 100 victory. So starting on the front row with his first pole of the season, driving the 00 out of Salisbury, North Carolina, it is Jordan Kalinian, your reigning NASCAR Series Rookie of the Year. On the other side is the driver with 2 wins on the year and currently leading the point standings for the Greg Moore Cup and the Mario Andretti Cup. It is the number 21 499 Racing driver out of Fishers, Indiana, Bradley Sexton. Rounds out row number 1 onto row number 2. Starting at the bottom end of the podium is the driver of the number 17 Macaulay Racing car to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. That is Corbin Macaulay. And then to his other side is the driver of the number 13 Central Flyaway Racing Delaware IR18 out of Colby, Kansas. That is Jared Ireland.
All right, and finishing off the top 5. Hang on here, my timing might be a little bit off. Anyway, I'm seeing on the screen now the 499 Motorsports number 32 out of Charlottesville, Virginia of Charlie Sears as starting 5th, and starting in 6th we head to Laverne, Tennessee, where we find the Hyperdrive E-Motorsports number 22 of Bryce Fontaine. Moving on to row 4, starting in 7th is car 7, the 519 E-Racing entry of Andy Hurdle out of Dayton, Ohio. And on his outside, separated by 2 1,000ths of a second, these two, the Hyperdrive E-Motorsports entry, the number 31 of William Kern out of, I didn't have the town, but I have the state of New York.
He'll be out of Dansville, New York. So moving on to row number 5, where we have the driver of the number 1 Tornado Alley E-Racing Delaware IR18 out of Atlanta, Georgia. That is C.D. Mangrum, looking to rebound after a last place finish in a 23-car field last Tuesday at Texas Motor Speedway. On the other side, starting in 10th, is the driver of the number 15 Storm Surge Esports car to Middlesex, North Carolina. That is Kyle Knoll. And then the driver that technically is the reigning winner here at Zandvoort, in a way. The driver of the number 64 419E Racing car of Harrington, Prince Edward Island is Darcy Ford. And then to his other side is the driver of the number 41 GTR Motorsports car at Kissimmee, Florida. That is Jose Mercado.
And it's an all-Ontario row 7 here. We go to St. Catharines, Ontario first, where we find the number 77 of Hunter Young starting in 13th. And on his outside, rounding out the field, is the number 80 First Gear Racing entry of Mark Ouellette out of Pefferlaw, Ontario.
So as this field rounds out towards the start-finish line, unfortunately, I completely forgot to ask about the fuel window.
Yeah, well, we'll find out soon enough.
So maybe somebody could, spam it to us in some capacity.
Perhaps.
Anyways, here's what we do know. 38 laps, 100 miles. Pit road speed, I believe, is 37 miles per hour. That's what I saw on the platform. Of course, we're back to the 2-tire compounds. The primaries are and alternates. You got to start on one of them. You got to change one of them at some point. And, of course, 200 seconds of push to pass available. But with all of that being said, the iRacing safety car pulls off. And let's go racing for the first time in the IndyCar Series at Circuit Zandvoort.
Man, oh man, through the fog, Kalinian was trying to leave them in the dust. Sexton goes wide.
Boy, already off the track. That's the 21 of Bradley Sexton. Oh, big trouble. 2 cars around Kyle Knoll. And somebody else gets collected. That's C.D. Mangrum.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Carnage to start the Forked River 100.
My God, Mangrum has had absolutely miserable luck so far this year, and it continues here through turn 1.
So Sexton took the entry a little too quickly potentially there, and then 2 cars get together about mid to back of the pack or so. And we got a 3-car battle here brewing for the second position as Jordan Kalinian has gotten away by about a second and a half or so. No caution after that incident.
Which is interesting because it looked like it wound up kind of on the pit exit. But maybe there's an iRacing thing on the road courses like we experienced at Barber and Long Beach.
Off of turn 14, Jordan Kalinian's going to lead lap number 1. And so we're going to have to get a replay here of what just happened. Well, there's a bit of a sneak peek.
Yeah, I mean, this is just straight up off the start here. And yeah, I wonder if maybe just a touch too tight there from, like, it looked like there was a decent amount of room left by Noel for Mangrum there on the inside, but it closed off pretty quickly. Yeah, Sexton, I think, might have just missed the breaking point.
Kyle Knoll to pit road.
Yeah, is that Mangrum ahead of him?
Yeah, they both went to pit road, actually. Meanwhile, as we're talking about that, battle for second continues to brew here between the 13, 17, and 32. Kalinian is gone by now 3 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow along. I think I think my live timing might be frozen, but that is totally fine. Meanwhile, we got some push-to-pass action happening.
McCauley using the push-to-pass to the high side of the 13. No clue who could have had the position there at the line, but into the corner number 1, the 17 is going to take away second place, so new driver in the runner-up position. But Jordan Kalinian continues to pull away as he's now going to pass Kyle Knoll and put him a lap down.
Yeah, I think Ireland had the position at the line just because of where I saw the green box as they crossed. It looked like McCauley was still third at the time. But yeah, certainly, those two aren't strangers to battling either. So yeah, we could still be in for some fireworks here over the course of the evening. We've already had some.
Looks like the gap, that gap is starting to shrink a little bit between the 00 and the 17. Again, remember the 17 was using some push to pass there, but it could be a mixture of that and potentially raw speed here as well. You never know. We'll just have to see how things go here within the next couple of laps. It's still Kalinian leading the way, but that gap is now 2.5 seconds-ish as they are going at it right here. Look at Charlie Sears making the dive bomb.
Oh, man.
Past a lap car.
Yeah, that one's a little dicey, but if you had the confidence to get the job done, I guess all power to him. Because certainly there are, not as many opportunities, but, that's maybe a touch on the aggressive side given how early we are in the race, because, I feel like the move would have gotten done anyway, but all the power to him. He was able to make it happen, as it looks like Jose Mercado might be in pit lane.
Yeah, Mercado just came in for a pit stop there. Mangrum was down for 8.4. Mercado was 8.6. Noel was in for almost 30 seconds.
Okay, so sounds like Noel would have gotten the worst of that initial incident with Mangrum then, if we're looking at those pit stop times, although it looked like Mangrum might have been missing half of a front wing, although my eyes could be off. If he is, brave decision to keep going.
Looks like they both still have front wings.
Okay.
As Andy Hurdle's going to get past Bryce Fontaine for the 7th position in Tarzanbach. Is that how you say it?
Just Tarzan's fine, because
Tarzan,
again,
sure.
Buck means corner, and they all have that attached to them, so just using the first half is fine there, I would say.
It's almost a second and a half now between the 00 and the 17. And trying to see. And there's a 17. Sears 3.5 seconds back of him. Jared Ireland, Will Kern, and Bradley Sexton all following him behind. Despite that issue that Sexton had there on lap 1 in turn 1, he is still up towards the top positions. Of course, still a ways back at the leader, but still plenty of time for him to get back into this one.
Yeah, but as you've seen, there has been a little bit of overtaking, but the further up the field you go, the more difficult it's going to get, quite obviously. So we'll see. Sexton was using push to pass there, kind of the IndyCar equivalent of DRS, and hey, back into the top 5.
Might have had
able to make the move stick.
Might have had a bit of a near wonky exit right there. He and Kern had maybe a little close for comfort, but regardless, Sexton now into the top 5 and now going to chase after Jared Ireland for 4th.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen some entertainment here tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if things get a little bit spicy here again. Wouldn't mind it.
Now a second separating the 00 and the 17. We got way too familiar with these two top drivers duking it out in multiple races this recent summer for Season 5 of the NASCAR Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, once Jordan Kalinian got comfortable on the IndyCar side of things, it felt like a matter of time before these two connected again, not to mention, obviously, the involvement of the 499 guys as well. But, there's a lot of top-end talent at the head of the field. And the fact that, Jordan Kalinian's kind of made this learning curve as quickly as he has, there might be a bit of rut-row happening within the rest of the field.
Oh, Darcy Ford around, 2 cars around in turn number 1 once again. Kyle Knoll went for a spin for the second time tonight.
Now, was that directly with Ford, or was that the byproduct of him having to check up when that happened? Oh, Ford's struggling, though.
Maybe the tiniest bit of neck code. Tiniest bit. It's close. And then Knoll just lost it.
Yeah, not even checking up, just more or less, as you say, not quite having the control into Tarzan there.
It's about half a second now between the 00 and the 17 here on lap number 8. And again, too, we did see on the previous lap or so both guys using push to pass. Now Kalinian's trying to use it to defend himself off of McCauley.
And this is an absolutely wild section of the track to have to use push to pass on, because again, this is the most unpredictable section with, elevation changes and the speed just being where it is. You're just kind of holding on for dear life, having to add that extra element to it. Ace job here from Jordan Kalinian to hang on for now.
And these two drivers both chose to start on the alternates. Of course, the shorter lasting, softer compound, more grip to these wheels. So trying to have some speed and some grip early on in this one, they will have to swap over to the primaries later on. So starting off fast here, we'll see how this translates later on. Oh, man!
Whoa,
He's around!
He went just too wide going into Lyondike here, this final banked right-hander, and I would suggest he probably caught a little bit of dirt there on the outside, and it's cost him a position and a boatload of time. Yeah, let's just see, coming through Kumo here. Yeah, you see how wide he gets. Yeah, just loses it.
Full 360.
Yeah, I mean, great recovery. Dare I say Verstappen-esque. We've seen him do it a couple of times.
This is the number 80 of Mark Goulet, who had just gotten lapped and was right behind all of this. He decided he's smart and slow down just in case the 17 went the other way, but thank goodness went lower.
Well, I mean, he jokingly said, be aware of the turtle car here tonight, but great awareness from the turtle car to avoid potential catastrophe there. And, you know, a very high speed, very dangerous bank corner.
Indeed, if we have a battle for the win late in this one, that extremely banked corner could certainly be a huge factor to how this all plays out towards the end. But now with after all of that, Kalinian right back to about a 3-second or so lead over Charlie Sears now instead, who just down the straightaway right there, so not too much separation at the moment. Macaulay 2.5 back of the 32. He'll try to catch his way back up, although I can only imagine from that spin and getting into the dirt, the tires definitely took some fatigue, I suppose.
They would have gotten beaten up a bit, no doubt, for sure, because anytime you're spinning, especially in that kind of a situation, like, that's just going to put an additional load, an additional strain on the tires, and yeah, probably heat them up a little bit extra as well, so wouldn't be surprised if the tire life gets cut down a little bit here for the 17 as he tries to recover what he'd previously had in place.
Oh, Ireland goes around.
Oh man.
He was in 5th. Drop back now to 8, so Kern is now into the top 5.
Now, the Dutch are known for their speed skating. I didn't realize this track was pretty much going to be ice, because we've seen a lot of guys go around here tonight.
It's now lap number 11. It's still all Kalinian. He's starting to lose some distance now to the 32, who might try to catch up and finally claim a win this season. Hasn't exactly been up to exactly full standards compared to the run he had in the second half of last season. But again, remember too, last season, Sears started off, he was just getting into the network, trying to get used to everybody, and it was more so Dylan Baum that was dominating the way. But then in the second half, he went on a complete tear, got the most wins on the year, and he completely flew away from the rest of the field to earn that championship. So again, it's too early to say like a championship slump or sophomore slump or however you want to put it, as there's a car I think that was in trouble. I might be wrong. Was I seeing things?
Yeah. I don't know. You have access to more things than I do, certainly, and I have access to Kalinian using push to pass to try and defend. Charlie Sears is just eating this deficit up. And I don't think Sears really used push to pass. This is just raw speed from the 32.
See, that's and the thing is to again, currently on the alternates and seeing that raw speed at a Kalinian, it's been a little bit rough, especially here. Seems like on the long runs. So Sears definitely seems like he's been a little bit more smart with his tire wear at the moment. But again, too, it's Charlie Sears we're talking about, so.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just about to make the point that, yeah, you absolutely cannot refer to this as a sophomore slump. This is round 4 of this season.
Yes.
Way too early to tell.
Absolutely.
And even still, like, I think he's honestly ahead of schedule for where he was last season. He had the P2 at Barber this year, of course, the retirement at Long Beach in round 2, but it's felt like he's been more present in the early rounds than he was last year, because again, he had a couple of turn 1 retirements there, so much different vibe here for the 32. And I mean, if the defending champion can get some confidence underneath him as Kalinian goes to defend him, boy, look out.
There's actually two battles going on simultaneously. You got Kalini and Sears going at it for the top spot, and Sexton's currently trying to defend third from McCauley.
And again, this is a recovery drive for both Sexton and McCauley because, again, Sexton went off turn 1, lap 1, and we saw McCauley go off a couple laps ago himself, or get fully spun out, I should say. But, yeah, he's trying to make his way back up. He's actually lost the position to Sexton now that I think about it. So, yeah, this is the 21 trying to claw back as well.
And William Kern just had something happen in turn 3. Just lost it.
Yeah, in the Hugenholtz corner, or as one point I might have referred to it in the backstage, the Huggies Diapers corner, because God knows how you're feeling once you go through that. But fun fact about that particular turn, it's named for a fellow named John Hugenholtz, who, while he didn't design the Zandvoort track, he was, at the time, the chairman of the Netherlands Automobile Ren Club, or Dutch Auto Racing Club.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but here comes Sears down low, looking for the lead. Not going to get him. Kalinian's going to take it back. Barely.
Yeah, Kalinian going, well, he's embracing the Tarzan name of the turn and just fully swinging it on the outside to hang on.
Man, oh man. I was just about to say this before all this was going on. The top 4 are separated by 3 seconds.
Yeah, so that separation that we had at Barber and Long Beach, yeah, it's not happening here. Oh, man, I thought Sears was looking for it on the outside. Sexton's going to take advantage, though. Like, Sears will pretty much have to give up the spot here. And as a result, Kalinian uses some push to pass to try and get away. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing about what we've seen here tonight, is the fact that, you know, as much as Jordan Kalinian's been in control of this from lap 1, guys have been challenging him left and right here, because that gap does not stay big for very long.
No, it does
still,
not.
Case in point.
It seems like it's like a constant pattern where it's like Kalinian's leading, something happens to somebody behind him, and there's this big gap, and then it shrinks again. It's just constant.
And it's how quickly the gap shrinks, too, because going down the start-finish straight, the gap was 2.5 seconds between Kalinian and Sexton. Sexton's already taken a second out of that. And you still have Sears and McCauley lurking, as very much a top 4 has separated itself from the rest of the field, but not from each other.
So now it's a second between the 00 and the 21 into Tarzan corner. And then second, between second and third, roughly about 2 seconds-ish.
Yeah, Sexton is the next contestant here as we try to find someone who's able to knock Jordan Kalinian off the top perch here, but full credit to the 00. He's hanging on and he's doing it admirably.
And the thing is, too, all these guys behind Kalinian have dealt with something so far here tonight within this first half of the race, and yet they're all still right back to him. Like Sexton right here. Now half a second between the 00 and the 21 for the race lead here, coming to lap number 17. Through turn 14. Macaulay's starting to catch back up here to Sears. Again, the 21 had a little bit of a corner issue there, turn 1, lap 1. 32 had a moment going through the sand a couple laps ago. The 17 did a full 360 entering turn 14, yet is still back up here going for it. Sexton all over the back end of Kalinian here for the lead. Kalinian trying to use some push to pass to defend his lead. Oh, left side tires just a little bit off track. Off of turn number 10, Sexton going to try and get the run here. Not just yet. Oh, Kalinian slides through the sand just like Sears did.
So right before I disconnected, you were just saying nothing had happened to Jordan Kalinian really tonight. He is now vulnerable as anything here to Bradley Sexton on this front straight.
And do remember, too, Sexton this whole time has been on the primary compound, so has been a lot longer lasting for him, even through all the issues that he's been dealing with. Again, lap 1, turn 1. But all over Kalinian here, looking for some way to get past him. Down low, he's going to try through turn number 3. Not going to work. Kalinian's going to have the better run up high. And Sears is about to get right back into the picture here. Macaulay might try to as well. We might have a 4-car battle here around halfway. Sexton, man, oh man, trying to get low, high, trying to find every possible little hole here to get side by side and eventually past the 00. But Kalinian, a defensive machine at the moment. Oh, as I say that, side by side going towards turn number 11. Who's going to give way? Kalinian is going to. Bradley Sexton to the race lead.
Yeah, that was just a brilliant way to line that up for Sexton. And this is a fantastic comeback again after what happened lap 1, turn 1. And Kalinian might not be done falling down the board just yet. Sears with the push to pass.
To the high line. Yeah, to the outside of the 00, side by side. Down this kind of a straightaway-ish.
Oh, man.
Oh, there was damn near contact right there, but Sears is going to get by for the second spot. Sexton pulling away by about 2 seconds or so as we have a 3-car battle for second.
And, I mean, that would be music to Bradley Sexton's ears, quite honestly. The fact that everyone behind him is battling right after he's just officially claimed the lead. It just gives him space as much as anything else. So, yeah, as we're coming up on the halfway point of this race here, you know, new leader and recovery complete here for Bradley Sexton as he looks to go 3 for 3 on the road courses.
So now 20 laps to go. Sexton, Sears push to pass. Macaulay now on. Push to pass as we have our first car coming down pit road for what I imagine is green flag pit stops.
And that's Jordan Kalinian.
It is the 00 Jordan Kalinian.
So I wonder if in that last lap or so, maybe the tires were starting to go a little bit on the 00. We mentioned that I'll have to switch to the primaries here now. But, you know, first half of the race, he had very comfortably in the palm of his hand, it has to be said.
Now Darcy Ford down pit road.
Yeah, and we saw him kind of get turned around a little bit earlier. But still trying to toss in a solid finish here, it has to be said.
Indeed, so Kalinian going to the primary compound. 10.3 second pit stop time, so was Darcy Fords. Sexton leading with 19 laps to go. So we'll see who comes around next for this green flag round. Yep, Sexton from the race lead to pit road.
Yeah,
and
there's the immediate
Sears
response.
As well, and McCauley.
Immediate response to Jordan Kalinian there. Not necessarily surprised to see that. Limit the power of the undercut by coming in, undercut. That's what I'm going for. By coming in the following lap, and we'll see what kind of outlap Jordan Kalinian was able to put together.
So Sexton going to the alternates, Sears and McCauley both swapping over to the primaries.
Okay, so that's an interesting development as well, that we've got the opposing strategies and Sexton on the quote-unquote softer compound now.
So Andy Hurdle, William Kern battling for the lead, but they're next to come to pit road. So is Hunter Young, currently in 10th.
Yeah, definitely not the net race lead. That's still very much Bradley Sexton's by about 4 seconds, give or take a tenth.
We'll see if Hurdle and Kern decide to come down this time, or are they going to wait? Hurdle's going to come down. Hurdle and Kern both come down.
Yeah, probably smart not to take too many chances here, though. Kalinian's going to take one with push to pass. McCauley back in pit lane.
Oh.
Did somebody get in a little spot of trouble? A drive-through, it would appear.
Yeah, it was a drive-through.
Oh, boy.
Yikes.
And let's find out. I see the...
unsafe exit. Really?
Oh, boy. So that is the... maybe. Certainly tight quarters between him. Was it crossing the white line?
If that's the case, then that might be it.
That's a slam dunk. Yeah, if it's crossing the white line on exit, that makes sense. And as lap 21 comes to an end, it is car 21 who's now found himself at the head of the field. Bradley Sexton, certainly a more adventurous drive than he's had in his two previous wins to this point in the year. Again, fellas down as far as 6th or possibly even 7th, but he's fought back in this first stint, and now he finds himself very much at the head of the field once again. Like I mentioned earlier, trying to go 3 for 3 on the Mario Andretti Cup side of things. And, after a very entertaining first half, you see the gap starting to form, like perhaps has happened at Barber and Long Beach as well. But, Bradley Sexton, again, full credit for this drive here to this point. Just the recovery of the drive, again, went off lap 1, turn 1, and has just kind of clawed his way back ever since. And, clearly the speed has been there. And sure, the story of the first half was largely Jordan Kalinian able to maintain a lead. Yeah, there were some defenses in there, but the 0-0 was Main character is a bit of a loose term these days, but you see what Sexton was able to pull off there. Now you see, we're about 7.5 seconds adrift of second place Charlie Sears. Here now is, we have a little bit of a lockup coming out of the chicane. And let's see, do we have 4 cars fully battling here, or is it lap traffic mixed up in there as well? I see camera cuts happening, so I think that means Regan's back.
Yeah, Kern and Ireland side by side for 5th place in the turn number 1. Ireland's going to take the position. There's Kern, Hurdle, and Fontaine. So yes, that is a 4-car battle for the bottom of the top 5.
Hey, nothing wrong with battle. Oh, man.
But a damn near dive. A damn near dive bomb by the 31.
Yeah, but credits Ireland, able to hold the line, able to kind of stick it out there, so to speak, and retains 5th place as they disappear into a pile of pixels here for me. But I can see the leaderboard well enough to know that, did we have Kern go wide? Yeah, he lost a couple of positions here. Both Hurdle and Fontaine moving up.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, just kind of overcooked it here into, I believe that's that's turn 9. And now you see, previously it was both Hurdle and Fontaine looking to maximize the impact of that bank turn via push to pass, but ultimately everyone kind of stays where they are position-wise, as Hurdle's going to take that high line into Hugenholtz.
Meanwhile, Sexton is gone.
Yeah, and like I said, while you briefly took off there, Riggs, as close as some of the battling was, especially the last 5 or 6 laps before the pit stops, it kind of felt like if Sexton was able to get to the head of the field, felt like this could potentially happen. You saw how he just kind of sliced through everybody after that turn 1 incident that he had. But yeah, now he's found his way back, and arguably is where the lion's share of folks would expect him to be at this point in the season.
So compared to that little bit of a 4-car battle that we were having there for the lead, now we can say that there's now 25 seconds. That's the bubble now between 1st and 4th, so a much different story compared to what we had there towards the halfway point. The closest battle that we have at the moment would be Andy Hurdle and Bryce Fontaine going at it for 6th. Hurdle's not too far behind Ireland for 5th. So we'll see if they'll be able to close in for a good battle right there. But right now, it's a battle between the driver that won last week at Texas Motor Speedway versus a first-year driver.
Yeah, and we just saw Fontaine go a little bit wide. That was turn 9 again, and I don't know, that's just, it seems like a turn that proves to be difficult for a lot of guys. It's just a right-hander that doesn't really end. So it's hard to really definitively apply the throttle because you risk, losing your line on the exit again, as I thought Fontaine might have had a little wobble there going into the final turn once again. But yeah, that just kind of further illustrates the complexity of this Zandvoort circuit here tonight.
Something might have happened to the 77 of Hunter Young, because he's been off for almost 6 minutes.
Yeah, we might have missed something there. Again, I don't have the full benefit of the timing system, as it appears it froze during qualifying.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. So, exits pit lane. Or, no, that's turn 2, excuse me. And, I mean, it's a wonder he made it back on 3 wheels. Well, 3 that are fully fixed on. I don't know how that front left somehow got back into place.
So we could have a battle for 5th about to brew here in just a little bit between the number 13, 7, 22, and eventually the 31 once again.
Yeah, Kern kind of lurking back there in 8th. This could get a little bit interesting here as we're getting down toward 10 laps to go.
And I mean, if I were to look back at the some of the standings here to see how important all this is potentially going to be for some of these guys, Ireland currently 18th in the Greg Moore Cup point standings, so this will definitely help him make his way back up in the points, especially with a lot of drivers that are not here tonight. Andy Hurdle's currently in 2nd place behind Sexton, so there might be guys like McCauley, Kalinian, maybe Sears that might get closer to him. A couple that might even jump Hurdle. I'd imagine probably maybe McCauley and Kalinian might have a chance at that. Bryce Fontaine currently in 9th. William Kern in 7th. Looking at the Mario Andretti standings at the moment, I mean, Sexton's leading the way. Kalinian 2nd, Sears 3rd. McCauley would be in 5th. Fontaine is tied with Hurdle right now for 7th. Kern is back in 12th. Ireland back in 17th. So I'd say out of all these guys right now, it'd be someone like Jared Ireland who'd really want to try and propel himself up the standings.
Yeah, and I think propel up the standings is the best a lot of these guys are going to be able to do. Like, if Bradley Sexton's able to hang on here tonight, and, you know, odds are, you know, it's looking pretty darn good for the 21. Three wins on 3 road/street courses. He's pretty much got a hand on the Mario Andretti Cup already, if he's able to hold on tonight.
So it's 14 seconds between the 21 and the 32. It's a 4.99 Racing top 2. Again. It's been a couple races, but again.
It is, but again, you still see that gap, and you can't help but suggest, like, as I said before, there are levels to these things, and yeah, Bradley Sexton's putting on a display right now. It's hard to really put it any other way.
So Sexton well on his way at the moment to what would be his 3rd win in 4 races, and he would continue to be undefeated on the road courses/street circuits. Again, didn't get the win back at Texas, but regardless of that, still a first, 3rd, and a 1st to start off the season if things continue to go as smoothly as they are at the moment. We did see a lot of trouble earlier, obviously, with pretty much, I'd say, almost everybody in the field up to this point. Kalinian's 5 seconds back of Sears. McCauley is about 9.5 back of the 00. Ireland is 2nd ahead of Hurdle, trying to hang on for that top 5 finish. Fontaine has started to drop back. Kern only about a 2nd back of him. So at the moment, it's, again, still those battles going on for bottom of the top 5, trying to get the mid-top 10-ish positions in there now with 8 laps to go for Sexton, who continues to extend that gap between him and Sears.
Right. And I think the way the gaps have kind of shaken out in this second stint here tonight, I think that's probably more in line with what I was thinking might happen. But hey, it doesn't mean the first half of the race wasn't hella entertaining, right?
Might as well take the time to shout out a couple of sponsors and partners that help us put on a show every single Tuesday night here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network on iRacing, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, or Formula One, whatever it may be. Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue, of course, is powering the series as the title sponsor, of course, just like they did back in NASCAR. It's no wonder why we still have them on board with us. It's been a successful relationship up to this point. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it going moving forward. Rampage Coffee Co., Piping Kettle Soup, of course, the race title sponsor, Forked River Brewing Company. If I were to look towards the rest of the schedule, they will also be with us for the Forked River 200 at Michigan International Speedway on October 22nd, and then they'll be back with us on December 3rd at Auto Club Speedway, so that'll be round 7 Michigan, and then Auto Club will be round number 14. I guess round number 14 would be kind of my birthday race, I'd say, so it's pretty neat if we can get a second year in a row with yet another wild Auto Club finish, especially now with the dollar IR18 being used. There's also Bangarang Hard Seltzer, Nordic Aluminum, GSGSG Vinyl 3D, GTR, and of course, powering these broadcast cameras that we use here on the iRacing platform for the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, TrackCams22.com. Thank you very much for helping us to really enhance these iRacing broadcasts that we've done starting last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we've talked about that kind of core group of sponsors at length pretty much every time we've thrown on the headset or the mic, so to speak. And yeah, these things definitely don't happen without that level of support. And, you know, we're thrilled that they've stuck with us all this time.
Ireland and Hurdle both on push to pass. There's the 5th through 8th all on it. Jeez.
Oh, man. Yeah, that lit up significantly green there for a good little while.
Kalinian's starting to use a little bit of it, maybe trying to catch up to Charlie Sears for second place as much as he possibly can. 3.5 seconds back of him. Sears is almost 19 back of Sexton, who again is just well on his way to victory here at Circuit Zandvoort unless something catastrophic happens. But right now we're still focused on this sort of a battle for 5th place between Jared Ireland and Andy Hurdle. Fontaine also as well here trying to defend 7th from William Kern.
Yeah, I mean, there's still lots to fight for positions 5 through 8 as, man, oh man, that was Fontaine really exploring that outside line, and that was into turn 9 where he'd gone wide a little bit earlier. And we'll have to see if William Kern tries to line him up or even gets close enough to coming into the Lion Dyke banked right-hander. Oh, maybe not. Jinxed the crap out of him because he spun into the chicane. Kern dead.
Yeah, he's off. He's dropped back to 9th.
Yeah, just lost it on the entry. I saw it in the background. Yeah, there it is. On the entry to that Hans Ernst chicane. Just, yeah, couldn't quite get it around and, yeah, loses the position to Darcy Ford as a result.
So he's still in line for a top 10 finish here. He is the last car on the lead lap. So there goes that battle. So now it's down to Hurdle and Ireland here Ireland and Hurdle for the 5th position. It looks like Ireland starting to kind of pull a bit more of a gap there in between those two. Hunter Young officially out of this one. Probably a bunch of laps late on that one too. CD Magram, I think, might have had a bit of a ghost moment, but he's still in this one. He's a lap down in 11th. So, again, last week there was a 23-car field, and he finished last. There's now a 14-car field where he's finishing in 11th. So, I mean, I guess points-wise, it's still something, because there's still a lot of other... There's like half a field that's not here tonight.
Oh, yeah, smaller field, more points opportunities. And again, the fact that he's had the struggles in the year, at least he'll get to drop one of those DNFs later. Again, that's the constant reminder that we provide, that the lowest finish does get dropped from each driver over the course of the season. So, yeah, those who have a couple of DNFs already, you know what you're dropping already. So pretty much go for it at that point, as I thought Bangarang was about to go for it on Ouellette. Further put him down. Laps down anyway.
Ouellette is 3 laps down. Yeah, so Mercado's a lap down. Mangram's a lap down. Knoll is 2 laps down. Ouellette, 3 laps down. Young is out at 13 laps down, of course. There's Sexton right there, who's quickly approaching Mark Ouellette and CD Bangarang. So that put Bangarang 2 laps down, Ouellette 4 laps down if he's able to catch them eventually, as there's now 3 laps to go in the Forked River 100.
Yeah, for Bradley Sexton, it's just a matter of keeping it clean here. Like, clearly he's got the speed. I mean, look at what the gap is that he's pulled to Charlie Sears in the matter of 16 laps, folks. Let's put that into perspective here. That's pretty much what that gap looks like. Pulled out a little more than a second a lap after these pit stops. Yeah, the tire difference probably does help that, but I mean, this guy's flat out fast. I think if there was any doubt about that before, none now.
So it still continues to be a battle for that 5th position, kind of. Again, the gap just... The interval keeps going back and forth. Like, Hurdle might be like half a second back or a second to a second and a half back. It's just constant back and forth. If we were to look at push to pass remaining, Darcy Ford is just about to run out. So is Kern. Ireland's got 63 left. Hurdle's at 98. So Hurdle still has plenty to charge after Ireland, but Ireland still has a decent amount left to defend that position.
Yeah, at this point, that feels like it's more than covered in that situation. Again, it's just a matter of kind of keeping things clean from here on in, I would suggest.
So again, unless something catastrophic happens here with the number 21 499 Racing Dallara IR18 at Fishers, Indiana, Bradley Sexton looking to become the first annual Forked River 100 winner, the first ever overseas race winner in the IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. Jordy, he continues to make a statement here this season. Again, as we said back at Barber, he made a great first impression, but now as the races have been going forward here, hard to believe that we're going to be concluding this one in just a little bit and getting to round number 5 at Pocono Raceway next Tuesday. Just making a statement, clearly putting himself as a championship contender, just so on and so forth as he gets the white flag.
Yeah, and after, again, that pit stop, I think I said this a couple weeks ago as well, I think the field might have effectively not thrown in a towel. Obviously, they're going to be competitive, but Bradley Sexton clearly on another level right now. Like, you looked at the first race, you think, maybe it's a one-off. You never know, because obviously Barber has its own set of chaos, as does Long Beach. But there's a guy who's always there at the end. Well, we say he's there. He's just so far ahead of everybody. We don't know if he's actually there unless we actually see him. But, yeah, just clinical once again. And if this keeps going, I'm probably going to have a thesaurus nearby to figure out what to say about him next.
So just getting through turns 11 and 12 here, Hans Ernst corner. I don't know if I said that properly.
Yeah, good enough.
Sure. Now, Como, Airy, Lewandike, something.
Lion Dyke,
that's better. But off of corner number 14, 3 wins in 4 races and 4 podium finishes in a row. Bradley Sexton wins at Zandvoort.
And again, once he got his bearings about him, like especially after the pit stop, just absolutely clinical from the 21, which we've come to kind of set as the baseline expectation for the 21 now, honestly, and left no doubt here once again.
So Sears second, Kalinian third, Macaulay's going to take fourth. Ireland looks like he's going to hang on over Hurdle for a top 5 finish, using up all their push to pass remaining. So Ireland gets the top 5 finish, Hurdle 6th. Looks like Bryce Fontaine is going to come around here and hang on over Darcy Ford for 7th. So Darcy Ford, the last winner here at Zandvoort in all of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network history. 8th place, William Kern 9th, and Jose Mercado is going to come around to wrap up the top 10. But there is your race winner of the first annual Forked River 100 at Circuit Zandvoort, your first overseas winner in the IndyCar Series here on the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. Number 21, Bradley Sexton.
And getting a little bit of a congratulatory shout from his runner-up there, Charlie Sears. Again, has to be said, as you mentioned earlier, the 499 guys, they go 1-2 again. Maybe not the most conventional way to do it, but you know what? They showed the absolute class that they have, and just fantastic performance from both of them. And yeah, this is a duo to really keep an eye on if you weren't already.
So some congratulations from other drivers here to the Fishers Indiana native. Again, 3 wins in 4 races, 4 podium finishes in a row. First, third, and first. Really trying to challenge other drivers here that are in this race that have gotten past achievements of trying to have the best first year driver campaign in Canadian E-Motorsports Network history. We had Sears last year for this series in the Dallara IRL 1s. Jordan Kalinian in the season 5 of the NASCAR series. Now Bradley Sexton trying to challenge the both of them here in season 3 of the IndyCar series.
I mean, not only is it a challenge that he's presenting, who's matching the challenge right now on the especially on the road side? Again, he's been letter perfect so far in terms of his results. Like, there's really nothing to argue there with the 21's performance on this particular side of the Greg Moore Cup. And yeah, he's doing more donuts to provide a further showcase of that.
Well-deserved. Yet another win for 499 Racing. Of course, Sexton, the only one to have a win of that team at the moment. Sears and Stephen Ellis are certainly going to be up next at some points. I mean, again, we all know about Charlie Sears. Stephen Ellis was a top contender at Texas last week, but of course got caught up in a late wreck with my memory sucks. Was it Kalinian or Sears?
For which?
Texas.
Wait for, like, I was typing out my question for Brad already, so I kind of zoned out on what you were saying. I'm not gonna lie.
I was Kalinian,
So-
not Sears. So not
Thank you.
ironic. But still, first year IndyCar Series drivers getting together, not exactly ideal. But anyways, with all that being said, it's time for the usual post-race winner interview, and now for the 3rd time within 4 weeks is going to be with Bradley Sexton. So, Jordy, you can go ahead and prepare some questions from your side.
Yeah, like I said, I was already on it, and I kind of zoned out when you asked me a question directly.
We good?
Bradley Sexton, driver of the number 21499 racing car to Fishers, Indiana. You got a copy?
Yes, Regan, I do.
Well, man, for the third time within 4 weeks, we're talking to you, or at least I'm talking to you. Yet another one. And you're the first ever driver to win a race overseas in the IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. You are the first winner of the Fourth River 100 at Circuit Zandvoort. Let's just say on the road courses and street circuits, you've certainly been making quite the impression. You're making a clear statement, particularly for the Mario Andretti Cup, obviously the Greg Moore Cup as well. I mean, 3 wins within 4 races, 4 podium finishes in a row, first, third, and now first once again. Just talk about what it means to be continuing this dominance, and again, to just what would you say Circuit Zandvoort was like compared to the other tracks that you've won at Barber and Long Beach?
Yeah, well, this was certainly a different course than Long Beach, but I would say honestly kind of similar to Barber, but it's good. It really helps the confidence as we go through the season. Really happy with the performance today, although I was driving with a little bit of red after outbraking myself in turn 1 and falling all the way back for a little bit. But yeah, you know, road courses are where I feel very comfortable at. You know, last week, as much as I hate to say I was disappointed with the 3rd place, I definitely felt like I was much weaker on the ovals. So anyway, yeah, Zandvoort's an amazing course, extremely flowy. I mean, you can take multiple different lines through different corners to maximize exits or, you know, save your tires in certain areas. So there was a lot at play today. And I think with a little improvement on the qualifying side, definitely could have maybe avoided that first lap incident. But overall, really good, really happy. And it's been great working with Charlie and the team at 499 to improve as I am learning this track after purchasing it last week.
And so Jordy's got a couple questions here that I was probably going to ask, but I'll do it on behalf of him. Of course, you obviously lap 1, turn 1, you ran wide. A little bit of a rough corner right there, but how important was it for you to remain patient, knowing that Zandvoort obviously doesn't always provide overtaking opportunities, so you were able to come back and rebound. There were a couple other drivers too that dealt with stuff throughout the race. It was you, Sears, Kalini, and McCauley doing a full 360 and was still able to be up there with you guys at least early on, but with how things turned out towards the end, it definitely played a factor, as obviously you were far ahead of everybody else, and the tire compound choice compared to those other guys certainly played a factor as well. Just again, how important was it for you to remain patient at a track like this, knowing what happened to you and just knowing what happened with everybody else and the strategy that you chose?
Yeah, patience was absolutely key. You know, Charlie had a great start up front, so we were able to communicate a little bit to see, you know, if any of, you know, Jordan or Corbin were burning their tires a little bit. So that kind of helped to kind of keep in my mind to stay patient. But as you guys saw, I'm sure in the first couple laps after my off track, I was seeing red a little bit and trying to get through as much as I could. But then I also realized I needed to simmer down, focus forward, and focus on the end of the race. So that was the main thing. But yeah, patience was absolutely key, especially at a place like this. And thankfully, you know, traffic was quite kind, and it seemed like the tire choice was absolutely key as well. I kind of waited to see what compound Jordan would be starting on, and I knew I was going to go off strategy on that. So I definitely, you know, I'm happy with that compound choice, and we'll keep moving forward.
Obviously, your road/street course dominance has been on full display so far. Again, you've won every single race now on the Mario Andretti Cup side. What's been the biggest thing that you've been focusing on in your preparation for these tracks? And I mean, obviously, you've only had 1 oval race so far compared to now 3 of the road course and street circuit races, but how do you deal with that contrast, and how you've been focusing particularly on the Mario Andretti Cup side of things?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, the biggest thing across every one of the circuits has just been the throttle control. Trying to keep the grip on the rears, on the ovals, trying to make sure that I'm avoiding overheating and keeping the tires good until late in the stint, where I can really lean on them a little bit more. Same on the road course side. Really just, especially when I start on the primaries, I know that I can push a little bit more on those before they get out of the window that I want. But when it comes to these alternates, I know I really need to be careful. So kind of getting those laps on the primaries beforehand really helps to adjust that.
And now we're swapping right back to the ovals. Next Tuesday, we're going to be going to Pocono Raceway once again here within the IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. How would you say, how comfortable are you with a track like Pocono Raceway and just knowing what you're able to do over at Texas? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of different dynamics when it comes to a track like Pocono compared to Texas. How comfortable are you going in? How confident are you? And do you hope to try maybe have Pocono as the track where now you can carry this winning momentum from the road and street courses over to the ovals, the left-turning circuits compared to the left and right?
Yeah, Pocono's a track that I really enjoy on the oval side, with each of the three turns going a little bit different than the last. I think it really allows for, if you mess up one corner just a little bit, you can really focus on the next two. As you go around the lap, front straight is obviously quite wide, so I would love to be qualifying towards the front to try to avoid any, multiple car wide situations on lap one. But overall, I am really looking forward to Pocono and some of these other ovals that we have coming up, but I think Pocono is the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
Glad to hear. To conclude this, who do you want to thank for being able to come on out every single Tuesday night to get the job done?
Well, we'll go ahead and start off with thanking Kyle's Fried Chicken and the Canadian E-Motorsports Network admin team. Thank you all for putting this on. Thank you, broadcast team. You'll see that this week, and honestly the rest of this month, I have changed livery color from blue to pink. That is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to thank my mom. She is a survivor of that. She is one of the strongest people I know, and definitely want to do that for a good cause. Also want to thank my new fiance for supporting me through all of this stuff. And then want to thank my sponsors, Motor Vault, Sparco, HyperX. They've all been amazing partners, and just really happy to be working with a great team. Thank you, 499 Racing, Charlie, family, friends, everything like that. So it's been amazing.
Alrighty then, with all that being said, that was the post-race winner interview for the first annual Forked River 100 at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. That was the driver, the number 21 499 Racing Delaware IR18 out of Fishers, Indiana, Bradley Sexton, your points leader in the Greg Moore Cup and the Mario Andretti Cup. Gonna for sure be extending those points leads after tonight's showing here. 3 wins in 4 races, 4 podium finishes in a row. Gets the job done, 3rd career win. Bradley, congratulations once again, and we will see you next week at Pocono. Hopefully we'll be talking once again. Well, I'd imagine all the other drivers certainly want to maybe change that, but we'll wait and see if you'll be able to finally get the job done on the ovals.
Yep, thank you.
Apologies for the delay there. Had to deal with something there behind the scenes. But with all that being said, let's get to the unofficial results here of tonight's first annual Forked River 100 here at Circuit Zandvoort. Of course, Bradley Sexton getting the victory, his third of the season, third career win. Charlie Sears rounding out a top two of 4.99 racing. Of course, Stephen Ellis not here to do a perfect podium. Hopefully we'll have that sometime down the line. Still 7 races left to go for the AJ Foyt Cup, the Oval Championship. Jordan Kalinian rounding out the top 3, a podium finish for him. Corbin McCauley, Jared Ireland rounding out the top 5. Andy Hurdle, Bryce Fontaine, Darcy Ford, William Kern, and Jose Mercado rounding out the top 10. Kern, the final car on the lead lap. C.D. Mangrum finishing 11th. I mean, again, it's kind of hard to put into words because, again, last week we had a 23-car field at Texas, basically a full field. He finished 23rd. Now he finishes 11th with a 14-car field, but still some very valuable points, knowing that like half the field was not running in this one. Kyle Knoll finishes in 12th, Mark Roulette 13th, and Hunter Young rounding out the field in 14th at 16 laps down. So, Jordy, that was our first trip overseas in the IndyCar Series. Thoughts?
Tale of 2 races, I think, is probably the best way to put it. Like, the first half pre-pit stop, like, there was a lot of action all the way down the field. Honestly, there were lots of close battles, lots of things that maybe we didn't expect going into this particular track, just knowing the kind of wild ride that it could be and proved to be for a few guys. But then ultimately, once guys settled down after that pit stop, it kind of settled into more of what I'd sort of envisioned going in. And, it wasn't all smooth sailing for Bradley Sexton. Yes, he got the win. Yes, it was a convincing total, but, this is kind of the first sign of road course adversity he's had to fight through this year. So a little bit of an interesting dynamic in that respect, but ultimately it was a result that once he got out ahead of everybody, it very much felt inevitable. But, lots of guys were able to sort of make, not statements, but they were sort of able to kind of get their feet under them as well. So it was encouraging to see, a guy like Bryce Fontaine finishing a little bit further up the field, for instance. And, maybe this is something that he can take forward to some of the other tracks and really kind of find his footing moving forward. And you can say that of a lot of guys here in this field, especially once hopefully things will expand again after this week.
Indeed so, and as you're talking about adversity and resilience, of course, a lot of drivers in this field, the top ones especially, dealing with something throughout tonight. I am very curious to know how that is going to, like, those words are going to play out for these next couple of weeks as we continue this first half of the 2024 Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series calendar. That was round number 4, the Forked River 100 at Circuit Zandvoort, so that concludes our overseas trips for the season. Bradley Sexton getting the win, of course, but we move on to round number 5. We're back into the AJ Foyt Cup, back onto the ovals, quote-unquote oval. The Side Launch Brewing Co. 250 at Pocono Raceway is round number 5, a 100-lapper next Tuesday, October 8th. Previous winner being your reigning series champion, the number 32 of Charlie Sears. So could we see 499 Racing go to victory lane once again? Maybe Sears will come out and be the next winner instead of Sexton. Maybe he'll be able to improve upon his third place finish back at Texas Motor Speedway last week. But Jordy, of course, last year we had the Dallara IR01s at Pocono, which was certainly very interesting as to how all that played out. But now with the IR18s, I am very intrigued to see how things play out at the, again, oval-ish Pocono.
Well, I mean, they're more controlled projectiles now compared to what we saw last year. Like, that's going to be the biggest difference in all of this. And yeah, I think it's very kind of similar to what I've thought about a couple of other different tracks this year. Yeah, there might be a little bit of trepidation at first, but once guys get comfortable, the talent usually takes over. And I see no reason for that to change next week. And I mean, as crazy as we saw things get at Texas, like, there's a lot of room to maneuver at Pocono as well. So maybe we just get two lines of cars going horizontal instead of vertical. We'll have to find out.
Indeed we will. So with all that being said, of course, that was the first annual Ford River 100 at Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. The number 21 of rookie Bradley Sexton out of Fishers, Indiana, getting the win. His third win of the season, third career win, third win in 4 weeks. 4 consecutive podium finishes. Congratulations to him. He will look to win once again at the Side Launch Brewing Co. 250 at Pocono Raceway next Tuesday night for round number 5 of 16 for the Greg Moore Cup and round 2 of 8 for the AJ Foy Cup. So that was another live production of Canadian E-Motorsports Network action on iRacing here on our YouTube channel. For the IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to tonight's action here at the virtual circuit Zandvoort. We hope you enjoyed the action that was put on by the cars and stars of IndyCar racing here within the network. So we will see you all next Tuesday night, October 8th, back here on our YouTube channel, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Atlantic, for round number 5 at Pocono Raceway. Once again, thank you all very much, and have a good one.